Welcome to the Spotlight series. Don't just survive, thrive. Most of us have experienced challenging times, now more than ever. The key is how we choose to respond, whether we merely survive or thrive. My name is Nicola Steele, founder of JJP Talent Solutions, an Australian IT recruitment company. With over 20 years' expertise, I provide insights on how you can transform your career to the next level. However, we are not just our careers. We are spouses, partners, parents, friends, etc., with a variety of needs and wants. In this podcast, I talk to a diverse range of experts from different professions, such as finance, law, psychology, and health, to provide insights on how you can survive and thrive. I don't have all the answers. However, collectively, we can instill hope, clarity, and inspiration. I hope you enjoy listening. I'm delighted to introduce Llew Jury. Llew is Director of Sprint Ventures, Advancer and Reload Business Group, as well as Entrepreneur in Residence at River City Labs. Llew, thank you for joining me on episode 6 of the Spotlight series, Don't Just Survive, Thrive.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Thank you. So, Llew, tell me a bit more about you and what you do.
Well, Nicola, I'm the founder and chair of Reload Business Group, which is a digital marketing agency in Brisbane, London and Manila. I've been doing that for 13 years and 3 years ago I became chairman of that company and handed it over to a very capable managing director and management team. So that's allowed me to build a number of other businesses, including Sprint Ventures, where I'm the founder and managing director of, which is a early stage venture capital firm that's investing in quality startups. I'm also the director of Advancer Group, which is a leading Brisbane HR company that uses technology to drive change for organisations. And within that, I'm a founder of Socially, which is a micro and a virtual events company. And the final thing I do in my spare time is I'm the entrepreneur in residence at River City Labs, which is Queensland's leading ecosystem of startups and scale-ups, as well as the accelerator programs that's based in Fortitude Valley.
Wow. So in your spare time you do that. You sound like you don't have much in the way of spare time by all that you've achieved over the last 13 plus years.
It's very busy times. So it's good fun though. Keeps me young.
Well, exactly. It's good to be busy. And so you grow, mentor, invest in early stage startups, and obviously the entrepreneur in residence at River City Labs. So we're in the midst of this crisis. What has been the impact on early stage startups and also scale-ups, have you found?
Well, Nicola, I think the first thing is a positive thing. The great scale-up businesses are really adapting, pivoting, and changing. They're transforming before our eyes through this crisis, and they're going to come out stronger. They're going to be much more wiser as founders and teams. They're going to be leaner. And that sometimes is a good thing because it increases the speed of scale, but it also means that customer validation is done in the right way a lot quicker, and that's a good thing. We're seeing that capital is drying up for early stage venture capital, angel investors, and companies that are trying to get funds are finding it harder. And it's drawing out the time and availability of capital. The other thing is companies are going to have to realise amongst all of this that they're going to need funds to last them up to 24 months, where it's no longer a bridging round, so to speak. When they raise money to try and get them through the next phase of their growth, whether that's international or national, they're going to have enough capital to last these tougher economic conditions. Again, finishing on a good note, Sprint, my venture capital firm, is continuing to invest and do a lot of work around due diligence on really exciting companies that are actually doing some amazing things during these times. And we've got a couple in the pipeline that we're in due diligence with, but we've just made an investment 2 weeks ago in a Melbourne-based company, which is very exciting for us. and we're looking forward to really growing out our portfolio of great companies that come out of this period.
And are you able to tell me any more about these particular companies, or?
Unfortunately,
Okay.
not at the moment. We're doing press releases next week, and it's all very exciting because we're constantly raising funds ourselves because we're a fairly new fund, a venture capital firm and fund. And basically, in due course, we'll be able to announce that. We want to have about 8 investments, though, locked away by the end of the year.
Wow, that's really exciting. And I can't wait to see the press releases in the next week or so. You also use the term pivot, which either love it or hate it. A lot of people are using that at the moment. So could you give me some examples of companies who you've seen have pivoted really successfully in this crisis?
I think pivot is the key word that's coming out of this, apart from ISO. That will have to hit the dictionary, won't it? But I think pivot is now a general term for everybody. Pivot can mean digital transformation for many companies. It can mean working from home and remote work. We've all been pushed into it in some form or another. And pivoting is basically transformation, change, adaptation, and we often do it a lot in the accelerator programs and in the startup world. So when things aren't going too well for a startup, they maybe gone down the wrong path, we say, let's try another pivot and change direction into something else. Some really quick examples: Stage Kings out of Sydney. They'll be doing all the big event stages and huge amount of Women's World Cup cricket stages even a month or two ago, and they've basically pivoted into stand-up desks. They've now got about 20 or so, if you look at their website, 20 great products on there that actually I can't see them, getting rid of that. I actually see them being 2 businesses now. Great stages when we go back to big national events, but also I actually think they're going to continue to disrupt the stand-up desk market.
The other one is, I interrupted. I was just going to say they're actually really beautiful bits of furniture, having looked at their website.
They're great. Yeah, very Nordic looking. And look, something that they've pivoted very fast and it's come from the top down. And what's happened is they've had to do it. But what the best 2 things out of their pivot is they're employing 56 people, and their comment from the CEO was, otherwise we would have had to let them go, but they're now back in our company. And the other thing is they're donating 10% to charities, and that is just a great outcome. I think they're right at the top of the list. There's another one called Bopple, who have accelerated, and they're out of Brisbane here. They've accelerated their growth in terms of pivoting rapidly into disrupting the home delivery market for restaurants and cafes and takeaway venues. What they're doing is offering a discounted fee price for struggling hospitality businesses and wiping fees for 3 months as subscription fees on their platform for those businesses, which is just a brilliant thing as well. So generally with these pivots, we're seeing not only a transformation of their actual product market fit, or we like to call it market product fit, but basically we're seeing transformation of how they go about it and the social good that's coming out of it as well.
Yes, that's social good. I think that there's a lot of that around at the moment, but those are really fantastic examples of that. So on a wider scale, what would you recommend that companies do now to emerge stronger from the crisis in both the short term, mid-term, long term?
That's a great question, Nicola, and one that it's going to be different for everybody. That's the first thing. We went through the global financial crisis in 2008. We were very small. My Reload business, Craig and I, the managing director, and I were pretty much the only 2 at that time. So we could manage to come out of that. And we grew at 100% year on year for one big reason. And we grew 4 years in a row at 100% year on year. Was because of marketing. We actually did a huge amount of what's now called content marketing, and we increased our marketing activity and events that we did through 2008 through to about 2012. And what we saw was the companies that came and did a lot of marketing activity during those times and increased budgets when everybody else was decreasing budgets actually increased their profits by an average of 5%, whereas the ones that turned it off went down about 1%. So the critical thing is to ensure that marketing is always on. You're always connecting with your customers, and basically you're saying that you're always open for business, because when we come out of this, and we will come out of this very soon, in terms of physical office environments and things like that, maybe not economically just yet, but when we do come out of it, you want to be there and front and center for your customers. The other critical thing is shoring up the staff and culture. When we come out of this, we also want the culture of your organisation to be better than it was when you went in. And so you should be doing a lot of activities from an HR view on, corporate culture, like, staff drinks and virtual yoga sessions and, funny things on Slack. Or at Reload, they've got one called the Reload Crib Tour. And they nominate each other, and then they post up a tour of their crib at home. And Craig had a very funny one recently where he's got a newborn baby.
Golly.
He was doing a crib tour and explaining the Bugaboo latest crib, and actually was there presenting his crib, and then actually did his whole house. So I thought that was quite funny. So putting a bit of humour into culture through crib tours and other things like that is really important. But look, tools like Slack are great for building that culture out that companies can use now that will really help them in the future. And the other final thing is digital transformation. Now is the time to work on the strategic plans, the things that you can do in downtime, learn some new coding languages or learn a new marketing skill set, or do some bigger planning for your organisation. And that will allow you to come out the other side. And I've seen a lot of companies doing that. So if you haven't started that, there's still time to do some internal disruption, book in a virtual chat with a business consultant or an HR consultant, and go through it that way.
Excellent. Also, by coincidence, I read an article today that you posted on LinkedIn about working effectively from home whilst combining that with homeschooling, which is clearly a very hot topic at the moment. So tell me a bit more about those 3 simple tips that you recommend. And I love the simplicity. You read some articles that are so highly complex, you feel exhausted by the time you've got to the end of the article. What are those 3 simple tips?
Yeah, so this is from Advancer.ai, which is our HR consulting company. And the CEO and my business partner and my wife as well, Kerry, wrote this morning because she's a mum, actually doing this. But she's actually seen this over the many years of being in the HR and people and culture space, that there's 3 top things you could do. The first one that we're seeing is a lot of FOMO. People have got a bit of fear of missing out in terms of the water cooler activity, you could call it. So a lot of people feed off each other about, the sport and the weekend and their kids and all those sort of things in a very social atmosphere. So it's important to sort of keep that going through virtual events. We've actually got a platform called Socially that allows people to join a yoga class down in Melbourne and build a rapport with someone doing that. And we're running competitions and many events. So that's quite exciting to sort of look at virtual events and make sure you spend some time away from the kids and you set some real critical calendar moments of your own time to go and do that. The second one is to have a forthright chat. And whether you're an employer or an employee, this applies for both. It's have a chat right now. And if you haven't had this chat with your staff, or if your employer hasn't had this chat with you, you need to talk about what the expectations are for productivity. And productivity is about outcomes and outputs. And I think we're seeing a transformation of productivity as well, because I'm hearing some stories that the old school employers that wanted to see people until 9 p.m. work in their offices are disappearing rapidly. It's about the outcomes you can produce during the day. And if you need to go off and stop the dog barking or get the mail or go and sort the kids out for homeschooling, it should be about outcomes, not about hours. And that's the second thing. And the third one in this article was around self-discipline. It's very much up to all of us to build that resilience. I think our kids in the homeschooling environments are really building a lot of resilience, and that's going to set them up really well for the future. And they've been pushed into this transformation as well. But I think that we need to be very self-disciplined and self-motivated and build up those skills for future work to allow us to be able to work from home in the future as well.
Which I think there will be more remote working once we are on the other side of this.
Absolutely.
And also, I've seen socially, which is fantastic. Tell me a little bit more about that, and I can share details about it on the show notes for people to get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that came up about 4.5 weeks ago, and we engaged with the Chief Entrepreneur for Queensland, Leanne Kemp, and Craig O'Kane, her Executive Director, to do a little pilot to help people with social isolation and working from home. So it's come from Advancer, our HR company, and we've been pretty worried about social isolation and working from home for a long time from a people and culture aspect. So we've basically been testing out socially for about nearly 5 weeks. And we've already run we've already visited and reached 105,000 Australians. We've had $3,000 of prizes from companies like Catch.com, and we've held nearly 30 events. And what we're basically building now is a platform to become the Netflix of virtual events. And so this will offer people the ability to join a yoga class or some type of class that helps with their working from home, mental health, preventing anxiety, depression, things like that. And they can actually log on from that while they're at work or working from home. And the other piece to this is monetizing of content. There's a huge amount of content out there with free classes on YouTube, and there's a huge amount on Netflix and Stan and Amazon Prime and all that. But what we want to do is help small businesses so that they'll be able to be paid a large royalty of any content they upload to socially. And if people come on and do a live event or they do a recorded event, they'll get a cut of that particular content. At the moment, you've got to have lots of people on your YouTube channel to even make some money. And often there's articles out there that there's not a lot of money around. So, yeah, it's been a validation period for us. And we've just got a new brand. We're building a platform as we speak. And we really want to drive this with people that are looking at promoting virtual events. So if there's any businesses out there, they can be coffee shops and they can be shoe shops and anything. They can be fitness classes, whatever. If you want to advertise on socially, please click on the details. It's socially.world.
That's fantastic. Well, I shall share that in the show notes. And do you do stuff for kids with that as well?
Absolutely. We've done one. We did Anzac biscuit making with an ex-master chef and Queensland Symphony Orchestra participant, Craig. And he's already had 1,500 views on that. We did that for kids to learn how to make Anzac biscuits on Saturday morning. And we were getting some great results. And we use Facebook Live at the moment. In the future, we'll be using Instagram Live and YouTube, so kids can get involved. And there's a great way of joining those classes. We actually did a pet show as well, and we got 320 entries. 32,000 people came on and saw that, and a lot of kids got involved with that as well, showing off their pets.
Well, I shall definitely be telling my youngest daughter about it. She's got her own YouTube channel. She's only done 2.
Awesome. I'd love to have her on board.
She'd really enjoy it. Well, thank you very much, Llew. I'll share those details, as I say. And thanks so much for sharing your insights and advice. Is there anything else that you'd particularly like to add?
I think, look, the final thing I wanted to talk about was just very quickly digital transformation. And if people are doing a lot of that pivoting and digital transformation, there's a couple of quick tips that I just wanted to finally leave people with. Make sure you get buy-in from the top, from the CEO and the owners of the business. You have to have top-level buy-in to transform your business. It will take longer than you think and be more expensive than you think. And the final sort of HR thing I wanted to leave was if you are doing digital transformation, and most of us are, let's face it, during these times, make sure you empower your staff and communicate from the outset that there will be change. And if they see someone doing a digital transformation meeting or they see an agenda, they're not necessarily going to lose their jobs. Because I think the biggest thing of worry at the moment is people losing their jobs. And I just think that it's important that transformation occurs to improve efficiency and productivity, rather than trying to, make change to the employment cycle. So, look, I think transformations were good. and especially digital transformation. And I think that the long term, we're going to come out of this in great shape. And there's going to be some amazing innovation and scale-ups that come out of this. And if we can all hold on and, hopefully everybody can get through this together, we'll come out really well on the other side.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Llew.
Thanks, Nicola.
I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review. If you're looking for career advice, your next career opportunity, or to grow your tech team, then please call me, Nicola Steele, on 0499 773 546, or go to our website, jjptalent.com.au. The Don't Just Survive, Thrive podcast is part of the Spotlight series, which includes the YouTube channel Spotlight on Software Development. If you want more insights into the software industry, particularly tech startups, then subscribe to the Spotlight on Software Development YouTube channel. Thank you for listening. Until next time.